to Sinn Féin for bringing forward this motion to allow us time to highlight the increasing prices of food and how the problem has been made worse by government actions. Again, I feel it's necessary to draw attention to the increase in carbon taxes as one of the causes for price increases everywhere, including the price of food. And if we take it from its origin, the farmer who sows the crops has been hit with increased costs of fuel via the carbon tax. The farmer is also faced with higher costs on the shelves because what they buy in the agri shop or in the hardware shop has also increased in cost due to higher transport costs caused in part by carbon taxes. And before ever sowing the crop, it's more expensive to plough, harrow and prepare for sowing. The carbon tax also makes it more expensive to sow, maintain and harvest everything. It is then more expensive on those transporting the produce to the factories and the mills. And when the final products are produced, it's then more expensive to transport the said products to wholesalers and retailers all over the country. All of those extra costs are paid by the consumer when they take the finished item from the shelf and bring it to the cash register. In fact, food costs are rising by 7.5% year on year. And as I've said before, it's the poorest people who are hit hardest by this. They're the ones who have to make tough choices, but they're the ones least likely to be able to afford the green alternatives. We see the struggles of different sectors, the pig meat sector being particularly vocal at expressing their troubles, with pig feed costs almost doubling in the last 2 years. Scrapping carbon taxes would help significantly to reduce the costs, not only on fuel, but also on everything that has to be transported using that fuel, not just the food on the table, but the clothes on our backs and the shoes on our feet. It would also ease the cost burden faced by everyone who has to travel for work. Rural Ireland dwellers, moreover, our home carers and tradespeople travelling hundreds of miles to build the accommodation so badly needed in our cities. Social Justice Ireland highlight that the overall poverty rate has increased from 11.6% to 19%, not a statistic to be proud of, Lasceann Corla. There is need to call out the government's hypocrisy when it comes to the government's attitude to dealing with the cost of living crisis and blaming the EU rules. We've heard umpteen times this government using EU rules as an excuse not to reduce the VAT on fuel or heating oil. Yet, when it comes to the rights of people with disabilities, the government continues to ignore the rules of the UN Charter of Rights of People with Disabilities to ensure compliance. So it seems that we can seemingly ignore our commitments when it suits the government and apply rules that suit the government to the detriment of our citizens. Another issue caused by government actions is the transient accommodation crisis. I received the following email from a representative of the company Mastiff, based in Timon, County Wexford. And it says, over the last few weeks we've faced a number of issues with meeting contracts due to the lack of accommodation and the cost of what is available. We cannot expect our workers to pay the best part of their daily wage on accommodation. We also cannot expect these men to travel 2 to 4 hours home at the end of a hard day and return for work in the morning for a 7 or 8 a.m. start. This would not be safe practice. There are workers now refusing to go to work due to the cost, and we're unable to increase the contribution we must pay. We must operate within the revenue guidelines. This will have an impact on the market, and we are seeing steady growth in our sector. This summer will be a very busy summer, and this is a concern now as there will be added issues of tourism and students looking for housing throughout the season. Mastiff, Lasceann Corla, or Chair as we see now, is a wholly owned Wexford-based Irish company employing 110 people, and their contribution is invaluable to the construction sector. Chair, one thing is that if government reduced its tax take on fuel to reflect the emergency situation by removing excise duties and other duties and applying VAT to the product only at the base rate in the short term, petrol would be €1.12 and diesel would be €1.28 tomorrow morning should they do so. That would be radical, meaningful action to combat the soaring cost of living and prevent people not being able to afford to go to work or having to decide between heating or eating. The question is, Chair, have they the cojones to do it?